like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Mallows. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses. Our friend Dennis Hart is here to talk about a lot of different things on the table, my friends, including Chancey Resort and Casino remaining closed, shut down. 436 Me TV option 11. Back in a moment. Back here live on the show on a Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses with Dennis Hart today, talking about all sorts of things. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the casino that was shut down just last week. It is Chancey Resort and Casino. A judge came in just a few days ago. His name is Lawrence O'Neill, a federal judge, and he ordered the place completely shut down after an armed showdown between a pair of tribal groups took place last night. Sheriff John Anderson had to move his guys in there and take control of the situation. So last Thursday night, about 500 people fled the casino when one of the tribal groups came in. They stormed the place with guns. No arrests made at this point. Tensions, though, rising, as you can imagine. That casino, though, remains shut down today as we speak. We don't know for how long. And so, you know, this affects the economy, it affects the jobs, it affects everything. It's about 40 miles north of Fresno, as you may or may not know. Don't know if you've been up there. But live in our studio right now to talk about the Chancey Resort and Casino shutdown and many other things today is our guy Dennis Hart, here live in the studio to talk about this. We're going to talk also about the Grizzlies and their disaffiliation with the San Francisco Giants and now their affiliation with the Houston Astros. We'll touch on the Major League Baseball playoffs briefly and then talk about some of the network news anchors and their nightly newscast, who's on top, who's second, and who's third, and we'll talk about this Ebola thing as well. You're welcome to join the conversation. 436 Me TV option 11. We're back with our program on the air, off the presses in just a moment.
It's Sully and Russ on the Big Biz Show.
It's your biz.
And maybe they'll start listening to Baldwin McCullough.
Now, before you make any money moves, check in with the Brain Trust.
And you are starting your week off right.
Tough TV is the first digital broadcast network to offer first-run original programming targeted at men. Tough TV features content that men are passionate about. Sports.
No matter what happens in the fight, oh, good right, left. Coming on strong.
Lifestyle.
What we've done is we've created a technology that allows us to run video games in extremely powerful servers in server centers.
Drama.
Did you cause this?
Reality.
Welcome to this edition of Eye for an Eye. Now, today in court, we have the case of the reckless brother who tried to unravel his own family ties.
Talk.
Bam, we have a winner.
Specials.
I'm Dick Butkus. Welcome to the Butkus Awards TV special.
And movies.
Everybody on your knees, put your hands on the table.
Sports, lifestyle, drama, reality, talk, specials, and movies. Are you tough enough?
Back here on the program, and a lot of us were shocked last week. Well, some may not so shocked, because when the you know, those the rival tribal group that came into Chukchansi last week, guns drawn. The sheriff's department had to move in there, and then the judge shuts the place down. I mean, we know that the factions have been battling for years and years and years. Eventually, this thing was going to come to a head. We're going to talk about this on the show. 436 MeTV Option 11. It's on the air, off the presses. Dennis Hart is here. Dennis, you've covered this for years as a reporter. Doesn't surprise you, but are you surprised it finally came to a head at this time?
Well, I mean, it was going to come to a head at some point. These two sides, one led by the McDonald Group and one led by the Reggie Lewis Group, have basically hated each other's guts for years now. It's all about the money. They are tribal members. They all want that pot of money. They're not willing to share it. There's a tremendous amount of money, as you know, in
millions,
the Chukchansi. Oh, millions. There are 950 tribal members, and they have tried to disenroll each other so that some can't get the money and some can. Each of them getting $500 to $1,000 a month, so that's millions of dollars out there over the course of a year. And basically the two sides are trying to kill the other. Not physically kill them, but just get them out of the way, get them out of the building. It's all about greed. It's all about money. It's human nature. You know, we've seen this from the get-go, not just at Chukchansi, obviously, but in the history of humanity. And that's what we're seeing play out here.
Yeah, what's the long-term effect now? I mean, the judge came in, O'Neill, and he said, look, this place is shut down.
Yep.
That's it. And plus the audits. Okay, they were threatening to shut it down. The government was threatening to come in because you hadn't turned in these audits for years,
right?
And now you better turn them in or you're done.
Well, yeah, the federal government is threatening $16 million in fines against Chukchansi, which would be enough perhaps to bankrupt the casino if they impose these fines. The other economic impact, and it's immense up there in Madera County, because Madera County more and more, as you know, is relying on Indian gaming as their economic driver. They're trying to get approval for this Picayune Rancheria thing on the ballot in November up on Highway 99.
They want to build a new casino in Madera
Another
County.
Indian tribe does, right, the North Fork Indian Rancheria. They're basically reservation shopping up there. They're trying to get approval to build this casino off their reservation lands up in Madera County. Very controversial, but Madera County, which has had some economic difficulties, is looking at this as, wow, this is money. This is almost free money. We can get these folks hired. They're not great paying jobs, but they're okay paying jobs. They'll hire hundreds of people up on the highway. Now up at Chukchansi, they have 1,000 people working at that casino. They're not working today. Those are folks who live up in Oakhurst and in Coarse Gold and in eastern Madera County, some of them driving up from Madera. They're off the job today. That's an immense impact for that county. Then you've got the 950 tribal members who rely on monthly income from the gambling, from folks like you and, well, not us, of course. We don't gamble.
No, I don't gamble.
No. Well, I don't either. But a lot of people do. They want to go up there and throw their money away because they foolishly believe, and this is not a diatribe against gambling, but let's face it, casinos would not be in business to lose money. People don't go up there and win money. 95% lose money. Okay, that's how the Indians and other folks make their money. So now you've got 2,000 people affected. 1,000 people who work up there who are off the job this morning, 950 tribal members, 2,000 people not getting income from this tribal warfare, which is essentially what's going on. This is really an old-fashioned battle over money. The Indian tribes, the Indian folks up there do not want to share the money with another group of Indian folks. And as you know, we've talked about this. I covered this years ago on KMJ radio. Periodically, one group would go in there and invade the casino. They would take clubs. They would sometimes take weapons, guns rather. And the sheriff, John Anderson's, had to be up there dozens of times to separate these folks. It's almost ridiculous. You almost wonder, why can't you folks get together? There's enough money for everybody, but it's greed on both sides.
Yeah, so what is the end game here with these people? When is this going to actually come to a head in terms of resolving this issue? Is the court eventually going to resolve it with these two tribal members, or is this going to be like the OK Corral? Is there going to be a shootout? Are we going to hear about a shootout that happened up there?
You hope not. You physically shoot. You hope
this
not.
is what it could. Well, they went in with guns drawn last week. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you that there's no communication. Both sides have had enough of the other, okay? And as far as we know, one side is still barricaded on the 11th floor of the casino. The other side is on the ground floor, holding some ground. The casino's closed, of course. We know that.
Right.
But the answer is the federal government has tried to keep hands off for years on this, hoping that some reason would come to the fore, come into the room. Somebody would bring reason into the negotiating table. Nobody's doing that. So they were forced, their hand was forced last week when these guys invaded, when the McDonald Group invaded. So the answer to your question is, we don't know. There's a hearing this Wednesday where the federal judge in Fresno, O'Neill, is going to decide whether to issue a temporary restraining order to keep the place shut down, or whether he thinks any progress can be made if the place is opened up. Now, no progress has been made over the years. These guys have never gotten together. They can't agree on anything. I don't know what's changed in the last 4 or 5 days.
Could this place stay closed indefinitely?
Yes.
Wow.
It could stay closed indefinitely. It is possible that the federal government could fine them so much because they haven't they haven't filled out their audits for years on this thing. They could be fined $15, $16 million. I don't know that they have that kind of money to keep the place open. It's a fascinating story.
Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Dennis, a question to you. Now, I don't know who's in charge of the tribal leaders or in charge of, managing the money, but they're going to have to realize that the money is going to stop soon enough, because a lot of those tribal, I know a couple of people that are in the tribes, and no matter what happens right now, they're getting their share of the wealth, and as well, they're covered, for medical and whatever, know. But if they're fighting also to go to Madera, they have to figure out too the economy the way it is, the water issues, and the environment. I mean, those are 3 issues that they're going to be fighting for. These tribal guys that went in there, to scare taxes and all that. Well, what they're doing is scaring the people to not to come there anymore.
That's right.
Knowing right now, and it's a good thing the federal, went in and whatever. Okay, so how do you see the outcome? I mean, the other casino in Madera. Do you think it's necessary to have one there? That's all I want to ask.
You're asking me, a couple of questions. Let me answer your first one. How do I think this is going to come out with Chuck Chansey? I don't know, because the two sides are intractable. They have just fought each other tooth, nail, hammer, tong, guns, clubs for years. This is not new. They cannot get together.
And the reason is neither side is willing to bend.
Nobody's willing to bend. Nobody's willing to compromise. And so you've got the McDonald side on one side. You've got the Reggie Lewis group on the other. And neither side, they just, let me again put it bluntly, they hate each other's guts. Okay? So they're unwilling to compromise. The federal government's going to have to stay in there unless somebody, again, shows some art of compromise, which nobody's willing to do. I mean, the federal government, I don't know that they can take it over. It's a sovereign nation.
I was just going to ask you, can the government take it over?
No, but they can keep it shut down. They can say, you guys can't get together. That's it. There's a public safety danger going on up there, which is why it's shut down right now. In other words, the government has said it's unsafe to go up there because there may be gunplay. There could be gunplay. It's fascinating.
You can't have patrons inside the casino if there's guns being drawn. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
I remember years ago, before the casinos kicked in and there was all talk that we was going to have casinos, a lot of us talked about this being a mob versus mob on a monetary reality, that there would be gang wars involved in this. And the people laughed at us and said, oh, no way, this is just entertainment. We said, no, that's how, it all starts out that way, but it ends up being greed and monetary objection involved. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think this is all about greed, and this is not a diatribe against Indians, because we all undergo that. I mean, human nature is that we all want the money, we all want the property, but the problem is, and we shouldn't treat this as, wow, these are just Indians going after each other. This is a very serious issue because, number one, we have decided as a society in California and in the rest of the country that we're going to give the Indians the opportunity. It's a reparations type thing, let's be straight, okay? We've given them control over land. They can now have Indian gaming. It's our payback for them for what we did in the 1800s, 1900s, and moving them off reservations. That's just what it is. Now, we have left them ill-equipped in many ways to govern themselves, okay? So now you have a group of people who have never had the opportunity to have all this money. There's a lot of money involved. We're talking millions of dollars a month in gaming up there, okay?
Yeah.
And Madera County has now compounded it by putting so much of its economic eggs in the Indian gaming basket, not just this one. It's the doggone one up there on Highway 99 that they want to get in there. That's going to be 400, 500, 600, 700 jobs up there. And you hear the Board of Supervisors up there, and they have virtually nothing else going on up in Madera County. It's a poor county. They're relying on Indian gaming. Well, that's a dicey kind of thing, isn't it? So now when you have this situation up at Chukchansi, where the tribes are battling, each other, now this is shut down. Now Madera County is potentially on its back. So you have the Indian tribes on their backs, potentially. You have Madera County on its back because they have bought into this thing. Boy, gambling's a good thing. And I'm not anti-gambling. Let me be clear on that. Hey, I put my dollar in on the lotto every week and throw it down the toilet because I want to have the dream too. But the lotto, at least the money goes to education. Much of it goes to education.
We could debate that, Dennis.
Well, supposedly.
Supposedly.
But where does the Indian gaming money go? It goes to the tribes.
It goes to the tribes.
It goes to the tribes. It's all theirs.
Yeah.
And the problem we're seeing right now is they can't decide how to fix it. They can't decide how to, they don't want to share it. Look, if I had $1 million coming in, and I could keep it away from John Malice, and he wants half my money, okay? And we're going to fight each other over this. I want the full $1 million, all right? By the way, I would only give you $200,000. I'd give you $200,000. But the Indian tribes are in this horrific fight now, and it's going to impact the entire. This is a big deal. This is not just an Indian deal.
Yeah.
This is an economic deal for the San Joaquin Valley because we have a lot of casinos all around the valley now. That's what we're becoming known for, as well as prisons. And now Madera County's in a serious problem. You cannot let that casino open, though, until it's safe. That's why it's shut down.
Until it's safe. Okay, we got to take a break here. Dennis Hart is here on our show. He's a guest talking about the casino shutdown, Chukchansi, of course, what effect this has. More questions for Dennis about the casino and the Indian, the rival groups. It's the McDonald group versus the Lewis group. Who is going to come out on top? It's the Hatfields and the McCoys. My goodness gracious. 436 MeTV option 11. Are you one of the ones that goes up to Chukchansi every week? Well, not this week. Back in just a moment.
Considering solar? Whether you're ready to buy now or just exploring your options, the consultants at Solar Negotiators are here to help you. A call to Solar Negotiators is like calling 5 solar companies at once. You see, when local established solar contractors have gaps in their schedule, they call Solar Negotiators to fill them. Right now, get 5 years of panel cleaning and maintenance or $1,000 off your new solar panels. So stop wasting your time searching and call Solar Negotiators, because when contractors compete for your business, you win.
Well, how often do you get up to Chukchansi or Table Mountain or any of the casinos here in the Central Valley, and is this affecting you? Are you a little upset that this casino is shut down now because you can't get your fix in once a week? Anyway, 436 MeTV option 11. Everybody has a fix. And you know what? I don't want to give the wrong impression because, Dennis, everybody has a release point.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Everybody needs a fix once in a while.
Yes. Yes.
So just because you go up there once a week doesn't mean you have a gambling problem. You can go up there and spend 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks.
Right.
As long as you're not hurting anyone, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And it's the part of the American dream. You want to win that big one.
And look, the issue is not whether folks in the valley here don't get a chance to go up to Chukchansi, that they're being inconvenienced. That is not the issue.
No, it's not.
The issue is what happens to these 950 tribal members and the 1,000 employees of the casino since this place is shut down? There's a safety factor. It's not safe right now to go up there. That's why it's shut.
You can't have Aunt Mavis and Uncle Bob go up there if it's not safe. That's the point.
Right.
That's the whole point of this conversation. Nobody can go up there if it's not safe.
Yeah, and there was a story in the Bee today that we all read about how the Hoover High School class of 1994 they somewhat foolishly, in my impression, decided to have their 20th class reunion at a casino that has been the site of violent incidents over the last 5 or 6 years.
Don't insult everybody at Hoover.
No. But it's probably next time maybe do it at a Fresno hotel. But here's the bottom line. In that story, they were saying, they've spent $7,500 on pre-registration, which is not a lot of 167 are going up there.
But they want their money back.
They want their money, and they can't get it because no one's there to answer the phone. But now they're saying even if the place opens by Saturday, many of them apparently would be afraid to go up there because who knows if gunplay is going to take place or something. I understand.
Are you there, caller?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I just want to say this is really an interesting conversation. But my question is, and I'm not sure if I'm following this right, you refer to it as the Indian tribes. Are we talking about all the tribes, or are we talking about
the Chukchansi
one
Indian tribe?
Specific tribe? Because let me say, you know, there's Table Mountain and there's
Right.
just several others.
No.
And I just want to know if it's just this one tribe. The other
One
ones are
tribe,
fine,
the
right?
Chukchansi Indian tribe, has this land, and they own the casino up there. There are many tribes, as you are accurately saying, in California and, of course, around the country. This is the one tribe, and this is a fight between tribal members, not between another tribe and Chukchansi.
It's a split, Dennis.
It's a split between the tribal members.
Right.
And there's one side that claims to be the legitimate blood relatives of the original
Now,
Chukchansi
which one
Indians.
is that? Is it the McDonald group
well,
or is
that
it
gets
the Lewis
confusing.
group?
Well, they both claim that. They both
so
claim
who do we
that.
believe?
Well, it's impossible to believe either one of them.
And the other question is, not only who do we believe, Dennis, is who has been up to this point pulling those purse strings? Has it been McDonald or Lewis?
Well, it's been back and forth over years, okay? The Lewis group has been there the longest, it seems to me, as I recall, and they've off and on had control.
Yeah.
And of course, as you know, there have been these incidents where they've voted out people, thrown people off the board, disenrolled them because they weren't blood relatives and all of this. It goes on and on and on. You make a great point. You don't know who to believe because both sides claim we're the right side. Both sides claim the sheriff is opposed to the other, them, etc., which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
And reading all the story, and the Bee does a great job covering
They've
it.
done a good job.
But reading all this gets even more confusing because I still don't know who's controlled the purse strings and how they have controlled the purse strings over the last umpteen years.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Nobody knows
if the McDonald group controls it one week and the Lewis group controls it one, how does that happen? How does that happen that they take control?
Because each side occasionally gets control of the board, then they throw the board out, whether they've come in with sticks or weapons or other guns or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they
You're
take
gonna
over
vote for
again.
my side.
Well, exactly.
I'm going to take you out.
It's gone on for years. Now we look at this and we're kind of laughing at this and saying, "Wow, those are a group of Indians out there." No, it's a serious issue because again, you've got the lives of people, not just the physical danger potentially.
Yeah.
Which is why the sheriff is up there right now and why the feds are up there shutting the place down. And you have a picture of the Chukchansi casino up there right now, but it's because of the lives of people. Madera County, I come back to this point, and our caller before this one had a question that I don't think I answered.
Does Madera County need another casino?
The answer is yes and no. The answer is if they had a viable economy up there doing other things, they wouldn't need this. But now they're so desperate that they're saying, wow, this is our way out of the doldrums that we're in. And this is not a slam against Madera County. Madera County folks, don't call me and say, wow, you don't like Madera County. I love you. I love you up there.
Yeah.
But
you know what? Madera County, you either work in education or you're a gang member or you work at Children's Hospital.
But when you have 1,500 or 1,600 jobs, 1,000 at Chukchansi, and 500 or 600 or 700 more on this proposed casino up on the freeway, and you're a small county and you've got that much involved in gaming, that's a problem, okay? Because those jobs can go away instantaneously. If there's if the economy goes down, people don't go gambling anymore. You have a problem like this, guess what? You lose the jobs. These are not the types of jobs that are really what you're looking for a long-term economic gain in a county. So they're trapped right now in Madera County. They've got all these folks working from Coarse Gold and Oakhurst, and you read about them in the paper over the weekend. These folks, a woman says she didn't get her check, or her winnings, I guess, and she can't put gas in her car. Well, why does she need winnings from a casino to put gas in her car? What's that all about?
I don't get that.
Wow.
I mean, well, you know what that tells me? She's spending a lot of her money up there gambling.
Exactly. And you often see in casinos, and this is not a slam at casinos, but we know this to be true economically, the folks who tend to go gamble are those at the lower end of the economic scale who are trying to hit it big. These are folks who are on Social Security.
A lot of times.
And they go up there and they pump all their Social Security money into those slot machines, hoping for the big one to come out. Very rarely does it come out. Sometimes it does. That's what brings people back. So the answer is, Madera County, yeah, they're trapped right now. This is a really big deal for them. Do I think they need another casino? Well, that's up to the voters to decide in November, but there's no question. This other issue is a reservation shopping issue where the North Fork Rancheria Indians, separate from Chukchansi, are trying to get a casino built along Highway 99 on land that is not their reservation land. They do not own that land. That's not their ancestral land. And the voters have to decide whether to allow that.
See, we got to take a break, but to me, the only way to secure that place and make it safe for people like Dennis and myself to go up there and gamble, which we don't and won't ever, but other people go up there. The only way to secure it is to put federal agents at the door, which I don't think is going to happen, or put the Fresno County, or not the Madera County Sheriff's deputies out there, which John Anderson has only a certain amount of deputies.
You don't have
the manpower.
They don't want
that.
to be up there at this casino. They actually have crime elsewhere in the county. This is one little area up there. Yeah. And the federal government, the judge is going to have to be convinced on Wednesday that it's going to be, number one, safe for people to go up, that warfare will not break out. And number 1A...
But you can't guarantee that.
Not unless you put troops up there or something up there.
Yeah.
And number 1A, what about these audits that the federal government is asking for years now that they haven't... In other words, they just want to make sure that the money hasn't been siphoned away.
Yeah.
Why do I think, just a guess, that the money has been siphoned away
somewhere?
By some people? Somewhere.
It's underground.
Of course, of course.
It's in some underground well.
The
only
reason,
County.
the only reason you don't put an audit together that's been demanded by the government is because you can't stand the audit. You can't survive the audit, right? So the government's threatening to fine them $16 million.
We got to take a break here. Dennis Hart is our guest on the air off the presses. 436-MeTV option 11 if you want to join this lively conversation about Chukchansi Gold Resort and Casino.
Must-watch news channel in Europe.
Again, I hearken back to the original statement, and that is the only way to secure Chukchansi, you've got to put agents up there to guard the doors, guard the casino, guard everything. We all know that's not going to happen. So, because of money and manpower. So, okay, how is this going to affect the naming rights for Chukchansi Park? Okay, like the Grizzlies, and the park needs another negative thing thrown at them.
Yeah, this has been a great off-season for the Fresno Grizzlies, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You lose your affiliation with the San Francisco Giants.
And now this.
And now you have a cloud cast over the naming of the park. The casino has given $1 million or so or more to name this thing. Yes. Will they even be open to be able to pay it? If they can't pay these naming rights, let me suggest that the Fresno Grizzlies are in even more dire trouble than we know they're already in, because they lose $1 million a year now, even with the Giants affiliation.
Of course.
Now you've got...
And they can't pay their rent,
Dennis. No, because... And the city has given them... The city begs them for every year, please pay your back rent, please pay your back rent. Apparently they owe $1.5 million now in back rent. And they can't come up with it, or they keep saying, we're going to come up with it. Now they've lost the affiliation with the Giants, and they have, of all people, the Houston Astros as their affiliate.
The worst team in baseball.
One of the worst teams in baseball for years, and I find it fascinating that all of the apologists are saying, well, you know, some baseball downtown is better than no baseball. Well, let me suggest that that's probably true, unless that some baseball brings in 2,000 fans a night and you're losing your rear every night, as this new affiliation may be, because I challenge our audience, and there may be one or two out there who know this, name one member of the Houston Astros baseball team. I can, but can you name somebody? We all went to the bobblehead nights at Chukchansi Park, the Buster Posey nights, the Lincecum nights, et cetera, et cetera. Who in the Valley cares about the Houston Astros? Who in the Valley cares about anybody on that team? And the answer is nobody. So this is not a good time for the Grizzlies or for downtown Fresno. And this Chukchansi thing is sort of the topping on the cake right now, isn't it, for the naming rights of the park? It's the topping on the cake.
Really? Yeah, yeah. And when I look at the Fresno Grizzlies and the Giants, the past few years, with the exception of Joe Panic, the Grizzlies, and they really haven't produced a lot of major leaguers.
No.
You know, once that group graduated with Posey and Bumgarner and Kane and many of those players that went up, and Brandon Belt, of course, when many of those players graduated, you know, the talent really kind of tailed off for quite a few years. Now, Panic is up there. He's a solid second baseman. He was kind of a surprise, kind of the best-kept secret, I think, on the Grizzlies. You also had Matt Duffy, who scored the tying run last night in the 9th inning. But from a talent standpoint, the last 2 or 3 years, they haven't produced.
Yeah, going out to a Grizzlies game, though, let's face it, ever since the Grizzlies have been in town, those 15 years, has never been about winning. They've rarely won. They've mostly finished last in the Pacific Coast
Most
League.
of the time they've been here, yes.
They've been a bad team.
Yes.
But what you went out to see, you didn't go out to see them win a division. You went out to see them because they had this. You have this emotional attachment to the San Francisco Giants. The town has always been a Giants town, slightly less a Giants town now, but still you care about the Giants here, to a much lesser extent the Oakland A's, to some extent now the Los Angeles Dodgers. But nobody that I know cares about the Houston Astros. And so the question's going to be, will people go to that downtown stadium, whatever it's named, and it may well lose its Chukchansi name, will they go to a stadium to see a team they know nothing, have no emotional attachment to? You're just going to see baseball. I'm not sure the town's going to turn out. I don't know that they're not, but you always went knowing the Giants. Man, the Giants. We have this attachment to the Giants.
But the attachment is in part due to the fact that you're looking at Major League Baseball prospects. Guys that are going to be up in the major leagues eventually. Guys that, not only will they be at the major league level, Dennis, they'll be playing for the Giants.
Guys you can go up and drive to see in San Francisco. You're not going to drive to Houston to see any of these guys, okay?
Right.
And I come back to, the biggest nights the Grizzlies had over these years were those bobblehead nights and the taco truck throwdown nights, okay? We understand that. But are you going to go out and see the Houston Astros? And again, I say, name somebody on the Houston Astros. Can anybody do that?
All right. Got a call coming in. Good morning, caller. What's your question?
Yeah, John, I got 3 baseball questions. Maybe you guys can answer them.
Okay.
3 of them. All right.
Yeah, the first one is, what village idiot come up with this wearing their pant legs down around their shoes?
Oh, okay.
Instead of the traditional. Secondly, what's going to happen to Panic and Sufac and those guys that the Giants took up when they're down? When they're done with them, are they going to come back to the Grizzlies, or are they going to go to Sacramento?
No. They're going to Sacramento because the Giants have their affiliation with Sacramento now. They're not coming to Fresno. So let me ask you a question. Are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Will you go to see?
Ticket holder for the Grizzlies.
Will you go to see the Fresno Grizzlies when they're attached to the Houston Astros?
Yeah, because I like baseball, but I won't be happy.
See, there you go.
Won't be happy. Okay. But you'll just go to see it.
I'm a season ticket holder, so I will go.
Mm-hmm. Do you have friends who are season ticket holders as well?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, the guys around me, yeah.
Why did you go to the games with the Grizzlies?
Because I like baseball.
Did you like the affiliation with the Giants?
Yeah, because I knew that when these guys went up there, I was going to be able to see them on TV almost every game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get to see Houston Astros, but once in a blue moon.
No, you're correct.
Unless you get the Major League Baseball Network, which few people do.
Right. Can you name anybody on the Houston Astros right now? Any of their starters?
Hell no.
Exactly. I
don't pay attention to the Astros.
And that's the problem that the Grizzlies are going to have here in Fresno. There is no emotional attachment to the Houston Astros. Never has been. Shouldn't be.
No name identification either.
Now, absolutely right. Now, I understand the need to keep a baseball team at Chukchansi or whatever the name of the park is going to be. I keep having to say that because we don't know what's going to happen.
Maybe it'll be
here.
Table Mountain Stadium. Who knows?
Could be. Who knows? North Fork Rancheria Stadium.
Yeah.
It seems like the casinos have the money to pay for this. We understand that. In fact, they paid for the library, for the naming rights to that library at Fresno State.
Yeah, I guess the caller is gone now, but the answer to the question about the pants going all the way down, unless you're hunter pants, you wear them way up here to the knees.
Yeah.
But we've seen the baseball uniforms change over the course of time. You had those high straps, those stirrup type socks. Remember the old days? Of course, now hardly anybody wears those. I mean, maybe one or two players occasionally will wear them as a throwback. But the game has changed to a certain extent, not all that much. It's still a traditional game.
It is.
And the games are still long by nature.
Yes, yes.
But the uniforms have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
They've modernized a little bit. I mean, obviously, as the stadiums have modernized, things have changed. What's distressing to me about baseball, and we can still talk about Chukchansi if you like, obviously, people calling, but is that it has become devalued so much that the playoffs are on cable television now, and half the country can't see them.
Hey, caller, are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. My question is this. Talk about the attachment, the emotional attachment. You know, that's what minor league baseball is. Most teams, most major league teams don't have that very close. Take the Dodgers. They just signed with Oklahoma City.
Right.
What attachment does Oklahoma City have with the Dodgers?
Nothing.
That's right.
You know, and this is really what it is all over baseball. There are some places that are real close, and that would be great for the teams. But I was just wondering, you know, that's the way it is, and is Fresno different, say, than Oklahoma City or somewhere else? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the Dodgers moved, they had their AAA affiliation in Albuquerque for years, and now they're moving to Nashville, I believe, aren't they? And I don't understand
I thought
that.
it was Oklahoma City.
Oh, maybe it's Oklahoma City.
Yeah, but they have no emotional attachment to Oklahoma City. Or Nashville, for that matter.
And that's why Sacramento was so important to the Oakland A's, because they were close. And the A's always had a good team in Sacramento. And they're moving to Nashville. That's right. It's the A's.
Yeah, the A's are moving to Nashville.
The A's are moving to Nashville.
Yeah, and see, that makes no sense, because I read an article during the course of the season. I know we have to take a break, where Stephen Vogt, the backup catcher for the Oakland A's and all-around utility player, was in Sacramento playing for the River Cats. And one morning, he heard the phone ring. It woke him up at 10 in the morning, and it was Bob Melvin. He says, get down here. You're catching today.
Right.
And so it was an hour drive, and he went up there and caught the game. And, you know, so, we got another call coming in. Let's take the call real quick, and then we'll go to break after this. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys hung up on me before I got my third question answered.
Oh, okay. Quickly, go ahead.
You guys may not be able to answer this, and maybe it's just something you can feed to them. Why is it that 90% of the ball players, once they get to playing ball, they turn immediately arrogant? And I'm an ex-tour bus driver. I've hauled several teams, and I know that they're this way. The only ones that I had any other, you know, the Phillies were a great bunch to haul, and the announcer for the Brewers, he was a good guy. The rest of them are, even the Dodgers, I hauled them. They're arrogant.
Yeah, Bob Uecker is the announcer from Milwaukee that you're talking about. Yeah, the reason they become arrogant is very simple. It's one word: money. They make too much money. Back in, you know, even in the 1960s or 70s, you had players like Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays. They were paid $80,000 a year, and they were the best players in baseball. What would Mantle make now? 20 million, 25, 30 million a year. He's better than anybody out there now. Willie Mays better than anybody out there now. But they make so much money. And when you go from AAA baseball, where you're paid nothing, to Major League Baseball, if you have any success at all, you're making millions of bucks almost immediately, right? You got 220 hitters out there who are making $8 million a year. They're not worth $8 million a year, but that's what the market pays them, etc. Money destroys everything.
Yeah, it really does. It's pretty sad. It's not only in baseball, but it's in every sport.
It's
the
in every
NBA,
sport.
pro football. We've seen it happen time and time again. We're back with our guest here today, Dennis Hart, 436 MeTV option 11. A lot more to talk about.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back here on the show, we have a call on the air. Go ahead. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Are you there?
Yes. Let me ask the question to Dennis. Now, you asked another caller earlier what made you come in, went to the park. But for me, prior, the Giants, Giants are Fresno. That was a team. Now, Houston brings it in. You're not going to get people going in there. Number one, because of the parking, and number two, because of security, okay? And I don't see a lot of places they can go out to eat after the games or whatever, or before, tailgating or whatever, It's either going to be the Giants or 49ers. The valley around here, Oakland, 49ers, and the Giants. Giants now go to Sacramento, and they bring in Houston. What names do they know? I mean, it's not something that the city themselves, the the city should have been involved as far as getting people out there. You know, I would rather have if they're going to do that, I'd rather have a soccer team, a professional one, and I think you would draw more people, but it would have to be a good draw to do that. So,
you know, the Giants brought up, as we found out at the end of the negotiations there, the Giants, and we had not heard this before, mentioned security as a problem down there. They wanted more police down there. And Mayor Swearingen said in her desperate effort to keep the Giants affiliated with the Grizzlies that the city could do that. Well, why couldn't the city do that over the last 3 or 4 years if that was an issue? Why all of a sudden, when the Giants are threatening to pull out, now we can do the security. Now we can, and they wanted more downtown. The Giants wanted to have more a viable downtown area. They wanted to have more development around Chukchansi Park because let's face it, that really hasn't happened. The Giants brought that all up.
That was the plan originally when that stadium was first built in 2001 or 2. That they were going to build around it.
Right.
They were going to have restaurants and shops and a place to go after the game to eat, and parking wasn't going to be an issue.
There were many mistakes made in the building of that stadium. First of all, the stadium's too big. It can't handle on a nightly. It doesn't need 12,000 seats. It should have been more along the lines of Raleigh Field in Sacramento.
Which is how many?
55, 6,000, and they fill it every night because of, and that's what most minor league stadiums are. Principal Park in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, which is affiliated with the Chicago Cubs, and I've been to Principal Park many times, is a beautiful stadium. It seats about 6,000, 7,000 people, and they fill it, and it's right on the river, on the Des Moines River, and it's lovely down there. Now, this is too big a stadium, so they had too much of a nut to crack. It cost too much to build. And
$50 million.
You will remember that back then, Jim Patterson, when he was mayor of Fresno, now an assemblyman, he was the one who said this stadium will never pencil out economically. He was derided by the Fresno Bee, which mocked him. The city council was pressured by McClatchy newspapers to vote to support the stadium. It has never penciled out. Patterson was absolutely correct because the Grizzlies have never made money. The stadium is a money loser, and now the city is stuck with having to keep this stadium filled because they have to pay for the debt, to pay for this stadium on a yearly basis. It was a bad decision, and now we're paying for it.
This is not an attraction for people to go downtown.
No, no.
Am I right?
No. Well, it's an attraction by itself. It's a lovely stadium, but there's nothing around the stadium. And when you leave, and you know this because you and I have gone to a lot of games at Chukchansi Park, you walk out, and if you have to walk 2 or 3 blocks, you're a little worried about walking those 2 or 3 blocks. As much as the city likes to say, wow, it's safe down there, there is a perception, and you can never overcome the perception that you're in danger when you leave the stadium at night. If you have parked 4 or 5 blocks away, you're worried.
They need to revitalize the whole area the way that the area has been revitalized in downtown San Francisco around AT&T Park. There are things to do before the game. There are shops. There are restaurants. There's entertainment. You've got the pier right there. Pier 39 is just down the street.
Sure.
There are so many avenues of entertainment before you go to the game, and not only that, after.
But San Francisco is a world-class destination, touristy city.
I understand.
Everybody goes to San Francisco. You love San Francisco.
Yes, I love San Francisco, but you can build a sort of not like the Fresno Fair, but you can build around the stadium to make it attractive, to make it an entertainment center that will draw people. Why can't they do that?
Because nobody's willing to spend the money. Developers are not willing to spend the money to make that happen. They do not believe it's going to be economically viable. Let's just
An entertainment center won't be economically viable?
Let's just toss out another elephant that's in this room, okay? The Fulton Mall is a disaster.
Yeah.
If you walk down the Fulton Mall at night, okay, well, you wouldn't walk down the Fulton Mall at night, but you can walk down at almost any time, and what do you see? Shuttered buildings, grated windows, businesses that are marginal. It's not an attractive place. The mayor's on the right track. You probably have to reopen, you have to tear it out and reopen
But
Fulton
the Fulton
Street.
Mall is not an entertainment center.
No.
It's full of buildings and offices.
But why is that? And marginal businesses. Many of the businesses are
I'm talking
marginal.
about building like an entertainment center around the
I
stadium.
understand.
For kids, for adults that can go before and after the game.
But what does it take to do that? It takes a developer, a developer willing to come in, spend millions of dollars. Well, no, not a semi. He's doing the moderate income, the lofts down there. I've always said, and just to bring out a name, and this is a complimentary thing, if Ed Cashin who is probably our most successful developer of major projects, River Park, et cetera. If he doesn't think there's money to be made downtown, money cannot be made downtown. He's not building downtown.
Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Caller?
Yeah, personally, I just don't think that they're going to be coming, in my point of view.
The fans.
So with that in mind, why is it that the Houston Astros would want to send their boys of summer to go play in front of a sparsely crowded stadium? Wouldn't that just demoralize the boys there?
Well, yes.
What were they thinking?
That's a good point.
Well, they were thinking there were 2 or 3 franchises in baseball that we heard about, Milwaukee being another one, who apparently were shopping for a home, shopping for a stadium, a city desperate enough to offer them whatever it took to get them. And guess what? Houston was the last man standing. There was no other stadium apparently for them in the United States except for this one, okay?
I guess we were the last choice.
We have a 12,000 seat stadium, which is too big. I don't think you're going to have trouble getting tickets this summer, okay, except on Taco Truck Throwdown Night. And maybe, but who's the bobblehead night going to be for? Name a Houston Astro again. I can name one. I can. I'm still holding it out there for you viewers. They actually have a second baseman who won the batting title in the American League this year, but nobody knows him. And if you know, call this station here. But yeah, I think it's going to be a problem. Do you think it's going to be a problem for?
I think it's going to be a major problem. But I'm not going to go on Taco Throwdown Night anyway because I want to avoid the crowd. There's no parking, so I'm not going to go on that night. But,
well, there's parking, but it's a ways away.
I mean, I'll go because I love baseball. Am I going to enjoy it as much because knowing that they're affiliated with the Houston
You don't
Astros?
have anybody to root for. You can't root.
No.
Who are you going to root for?
And the billboards down there of Bumgarner and Kane and Lincecum and Posey. I mean, forget it. They're coming down.
Yeah. Well, you got to put up some Houston Astro posters. They own the team.
We all know who they are.
I mean, they don't own the team, but they're the affiliation. Right. But it's a larger problem with downtown Fresno. Again, the mall is a disaster right now. The mayor wants to rip it out. It's probably the right thing to do, but you got to. You got to have money. You got to have. Well, look at it this way. We know that the mall is a failure now. Why would ripping it out be any worse?
The mall's a failure not because it's a mall, because of what's in the mall and around the mall. Look at these buildings. They're office buildings. Who's going to go downtown to go to an office building?
It's an interesting thing. 50 years ago, this mall was dedicated. I was there. I was a young kid on that night when this mall was dedicated in '64, and at that point, it was the best available information that developers had. Malls are going to be big across the country. Fulton Street was deteriorating. They ripped it out. They were there. It was September of '64 when this thing was dedicated. The first Governor Brown was here, and I saw him that night. The father
Edmund
of the
G.
current
Brown,
governor.
right?
He was there, yes.
Yeah.
I was just a kid, okay? And here's the interesting thing. I was down there by myself. My parents had no fear of my going to that mall at night. I was just a child in junior high or maybe even elementary school. I took the bus down there. Now, you wouldn't do that tonight because there's a perception that that mall is not safe at night. I don't know whether it's true or not.
I think I see you.
There I am, right in the middle. There I am. But as long as you have that perception, you're not going to get people to come down. I'm sorry.
Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead,
hello.
caller.
Hey, my name is Donna Boston, and I see you're wanting to tear up the Fulton Mall. Why don't you guys just leave it alone? We like it the way it is. You're going to screw everything up tearing out the Fulton Mall. Man, it's been there for years. Why do you want to mess with it?
Well, the reason the city wants to mess with it is because there's no business down there, and downtown's a disaster, and they have to do something. There's no viable business down there. It's a disaster because
they lower the rent.
Well, no, it's
it's
a disaster because Gottschalk's moved out, Penny's moved out, all the businesses moved out, and retail is not working down there. There's no viable economic base in downtown Fresno. The only thing that brings people downtown is government, and they all go home from the courthouse at night. Nobody goes down there, and you've got a few thousand people who come from North Fresno or Central Fresno into the ball games, and they immediately go home. They're not spending any money down there.
There's nothing to do at Fulton Mall, but tearing it out isn't going to bring more business.
No,
by tearing
maybe
it,
not.
No, convince me that by tearing out that mall, it's going to be a viable place to go after a Grizzlies game. What are they going to put down there?
I can only convince you of one thing. Only one thing.
Yeah.
that the mall has failed. Why would you keep failing? You've got to try something else. That's my only convincing.
But you still have to build entertainment down there, whether it's a
You have
restaurant, whether it's shops that are open after you get off work
Well,
at
I
night.
agree with you. And an interesting thing to ask your...
But if everything shuts down at 5 or 6 o'clock, who's going to go down there
An
at
interesting thing to ask your viewers right now is, okay, do you go down to the mall at night?
night? Okay.
Are you down there? If not, why don't you go? Call us. I'd like to find out. I'd like to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Because we know people aren't going. So, if you don't want the mall torn out, what would you like to have happen down there? That's my question. What do you think should happen if the mall's not torn
All
down?
right, got to take a break. We're with Dennis Hart. Back in just a moment.
Considering solar? Whether you're ready to buy now or just exploring your options, the consultants at Solar Negotiators are here to help you. A call to Solar Negotiators is like calling 5 solar companies at once. You see, when local established solar contractors have gaps in their schedule, they call Solar Negotiators to fill them. Right now, get 5 years of panel cleaning and maintenance or $1,000 off your new solar panels. So stop wasting your time searching and call Solar Negotiators, because when contractors compete for your business, you win.
Another call here on Connect with Me. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's Oscar de Leon. How are you doing?
Good.
Oscar.
Good.
Yes.
Oscar.
Hey, listen, I wanted to talk on the show if possible.
Go ahead, Oscar. How are you?
Fine, great, thank you.
Oscar, didn't you work at Channel 30 with me 30 years ago?
Well, let's see.
Weren't you a photographer at Channel 30?
Guy or a taller guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
Listen, the story I wanted to talk about was way back. Way back in the time we did a story about. I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
We're
Go
listening
ahead.
to you.
We're
listening to you.
We can hear you, Oscar. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Listen, we did a story on the Fulton Mall, how a mall it was failing, and ours was the Fulton Mall, and then we went to Boulder, Colorado, where there was a mall that was very successful. Now, the key to their successful mall was they crossed it with the university, and I'm not saying bring a university, but that was why they were successful. There was just live people walking around in the middle of the evening, the night. It was just I was there. I saw it. It was pretty successful.
Right.
So they crossed it with the university, the Colorado. I can't remember what it was, but it was in Boulder, Colorado. They have a most successful mall.
Oscar, the thing that would have changed downtown Fresno for the better and forever is UC Merced. If they had gotten the University of California.
And they did talk about that at one time.
And they could not put it together. There was some opposition from politicians here and from Fresno State. They didn't want the pressure of having a UC in the same town as Fresno State University. But that in downtown Fresno would have been a game changer forever, and they lost that opportunity.
Yeah, I think Fresno State somewhere along the line maybe prevented that from happening.
They could just put some stores there, some big ones.
Yeah, and the other thing, Oscar, they didn't really cooperate with Children's Hospital, which should have remained in downtown Fresno. Instead, they went to Madera.
That's right. There were economic opportunities along the way in the last 15 years that the city of Fresno whiffed on. Okay, UC was the biggest one, a tremendous loss to put it up in Merced for Fresno. I mean, it was an obvious place. Fresno should have had one, but the university, or rather the Children's Hospital, a tremendous economic loss, for Fresno. No question, thousands of jobs and good, well-paying jobs.
Exactly.
But now those are gone. So now what we're left with, you've got call centers, and you've got these other businesses on the mall. Some of them just aren't very attractive.
They shut down at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and no one's going there.
You're not going to go to the mall at 6 o'clock at night. You're just not, because there's nothing to get you down there.
Yeah.
So spend the $20 million or whatever they're spending on. They should spend the money on something else, a store.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Oscar, good to hear from you.
Nice to hear from you, Oscar. Thank you for calling.
Show, I love it.
Thanks,
thank
Oscar,
you.
very
I
much.
hope he comes back. He's been a guest here twice, by the way. We've talked about his career in broadcasting, very illustrious.
Oscar and I worked at Channel 30 back in the 1970s. He's a great photographer, etc.
And a great guy.
Yes.
Thanks for calling in, Oscar.
Yes.
I appreciate it very much. Hey, another call. Is there a call coming in? No? Okay. Put up the picture of Billy Beane, the general manager of the Oakland A's, Dennis's Oakland A's, and mine. Okay, there's Billy right there.
Yep.
He made the trade over the summer to get rid of Yoenis Cespedes.
Yep.
Okay, trading him to Boston. They got Lester. They got another pitcher, not from Boston, but they got Samardzija. They got Hamill.
Yep.
Okay, how did this disrupt the team?
It destroyed the Oakland A's. Billy Beane has been widely praised for his money ball, where he took a team that has no money virtually and created a consistent winner, and he did that marvelously. He single-handedly destroyed the Oakland A's, though, in the middle of the summer. When he made that trade to get rid of Cespedes, the A's had the best record in baseball. They were winning. He made the trade in order to get John Lester, a rent-a pitcher from the Boston Red Sox, and a very good one, okay? Because he wanted to go deep into the playoffs. He was always haunted by Justin Verlander beating the A's in Game 5 of playoff series for the Detroit Tigers. He wanted to have John Lester pitch against Justin Verlander. The problem, of course, is that he took the heart of the lineup out, the heart of his hitting lineup. They died hitting. And you know what? They never made it to a Game 5, did they? Because they lost in the wild card game. John Lester lost the game.
All right, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Gentlemen, I think the answer to the two problems here is downtown. What we do is we put casinos downtown in the buildings that are now abandoned, and that'll bring business to the mall and rejuvenate the baseball stadium, which has been a big flop since the beginning.
Yeah.
And we can maybe make it a place for a vice in general down there in downtown, and maybe that'll bring business down there. And the businesses will have to pay for the security. That's my comment. Thank you for listening.
Hey,
Good day.
thank you very much. And so, abandoned buildings that close down at 5 or 6 o'clock. Nobody's going to go down there. But, hey, listen, I want to get back to Billy Beane. Should he be fired? He's going to be in Fresno, by the way.
He's going to be in Fresno for a town hall meeting, I believe, on November 4th, isn't it?
That's Election Day.
That is Election Day. Should Billy Beane be fired? Probably not, because he's had a track record of success. But think about what he did here. He took the heart out of that team. Cespedes not only was the linchpin of their offense, he was a great defensive outfielder.
Take that photo down. I don't want us to look at Billy Beane anymore.
So now,
I'm upset.
Immediately after he trades Cespedes, the other hitters die. There's no hitting on the team. They always had the pitching. They had the pitching to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And guess what? They made 1 and out against Kansas City.
He cut the heart out of the team.
Cut the heart out of the team.
All right, let's take a call here before we go. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Quickly, we're almost out of time.
And guess what?
Caller. Oops, gotta go. Gotta go.
Doggone it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize, but we had to cut you off because you got to turn that sound down on the TV. I know it's kind of tricky.
We'll come back
but that's
next month
okay.
and keep talking about it.
Yeah, we'll keep talking. We got 2 minutes left. Hey, I want to go to Mike Moustakas.
Yes.
You may not have heard of him.
You
he
have
is
now.
a star with the Kansas City Royals. He is of Greek descent, and I'm proud of that because I'm Greek. But go ahead. How many homers in the playoffs?
4 homers in the playoffs, okay? This is a kid. Kansas City is the story of the playoffs. As much as we love the Giants, Kansas City has come out of nowhere. Never made the playoffs in 25 years.
Oh, man.
They've not only made the playoffs, they beat the A's in the wild card. They destroyed the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, okay? Think about that. The Angels had one of the best records in all of baseball, 3 and out against Kansas City.
Incredible.
Now, Baltimore, winning the American League East, they're down 2-0 to Kansas
And
City.
Moustakas had 2 home runs against the Angels, didn't he? Did he not?
Yes.
And 2 against Baltimore.
They are the story of the playoffs. The Midwest has fallen in love with them. I just came back from 2 weeks in the Midwest. I mean, Kansas City has come from nowhere to be the love child. And as much as we like the Giants, man,
well,
Kansas City's a story.
Moustakas now in Kansas City is the love child.
He
Right
is.
now, he is.
He is.
Hey, one more photo before we go. Sergio Romo last night giving up the game-winning home run, and there he is.
There he is,
And
about to give up the boom.
I know, he gave up the game winner. I just cannot believe that they put Romo in that situation. And so what happened here? He gave it up to Colton Wong.
Colton Wong.
Yes. What happened? Why bring Sergio in? He has had a bad year. He's had a bad year. There's Colton Wong right there. Yeah. Oh, we got 10 seconds. Hurry.
Right. I don't know who's gonna win, Giants or Cardinals.
If they keep making moves like this, the Cardinals will win it.
We'll be back when we'll know the World Series winner when we come back next month.
All right, Dennis, always good to talk to you. Hey, great topics.
Good stuff.
Great.
And will Chance even be open next month? Who knows?
Hey, we'll talk about it.
All right.
You're back next month. Back with another show tomorrow. Hey, Amanda Renteria is here tomorrow. See you then. Have a great day.